In Chapter 1, the group arrives on the 4th floor, the Iron Tangle, inside a rundown subway car with only 10 days to find an exit. Donut must quickly select a new class, while Katya's Pathfinder skill aids their navigation. They discover a door leading to a dangerous car filled with Drek monsters, prompting a hasty retreat. The group fortifies their defenses with traps as they prepare for an oncoming threat. The train announces their arrival at station number 82, but they face a swarm of larger monsters. With a plan to escape, they rush toward train number 20, looting gold along the way. In Chapter 2, Tessa and her group explore a deserted subway station, learning they're at station 83. They find an inn and meet Limp Richard, a mole man, before Mordecai transforms into a Grolka. They discover valuable loot, including enchanted items and gold. The group plans to negotiate for a personal space, using coupons that grant them access to a level 3 space. They decide to combine their spaces for a level 5 upgrade, exploring available enhancements, including an ultra-stabilized bed and an enhanced crafting studio. They aim to optimize their setup before resting. In Chapter 3, Carl and his team customize their personal spaces, creating a crafting studio and training room under Mordecai's guidance. They learn the significance of personal upgrades and the repercussions of character deaths on shared spaces. After sharing a meal, they watch a recap show, gaining intelligence on others' statuses, discovering Mrs. McGibbons has leveled up significantly. Suddenly, a daily announcement reveals the 4th floor's new rules and a bounty system for hunting other players. Carl receives a heartbreaking message from his deceased friend Brandon, who faces death from shade gremlins, prompting Carl to prepare for revenge and training. In Chapter 4, Carl and his team train while trying to improve bare knuckles. They set up crafting tables, and Carl uses the Gooinator on a breastplate, receiving a bronze crafter's box. After shopping, they acquire a padded mallet and discuss a costly battery fabricator. They learn about the Nightmare Express train, spotting monsters on board. The group devises a plan to attack them, successfully defeating bunkers and shock chompers as they arrive at the platform. They eventually board the train, preparing to confront more enemies while strategizing on how to access the engine car and acquire the Yellow Line engineer's key. In Chapter 5, the group fortifies the train against monsters outside, specifically the aggressive green-skinned polyslogs. They meet Vernon, a dwarf conductor, who explains that the train operates in a loop and passengers must exit at the last stop. He shares insights about the monsters they face, emphasizing their need to find a neighborhood boss for maps. They discover a reward room and receive suitcases, but upon opening them, they trigger a trap with fire ants that engulf the train car. As they escape, they witness the train move on, leaving behind Vernon, who is consumed by the flames. In Chapter 6, Katya examines the station layout, noting various monsters, including skinless rabbits. The group explores a tunnel, discussing NPC's artificial memories. They confront and defeat a red cornet, gaining resistance to its attacks. In an unexpected boss room, they find 2 inactive robots. Speculating about their purpose, they decide to destroy them for materials. After clearing the area of monsters, they return to demolish the robots, collecting valuable parts. Carl receives a message from Bautista about Imani needing to talk regarding Brandon and Chris. They plan to travel to Transfer Station 131, where a Desperado club awaits. In Chapter 7, the group arrives at Station 131, where they battle Zlurpees and Mongo levels up to 15. They visit Ford's fighting supplies and learn about a Desperado club. Mordecai upgrades the alchemy table, presenting a healing potion with severe side effects. The group receives fan boxes. Donut gets a saddle for Mongo, while Carl's triggers a game show with Chaco the Bard as host. During the chaos, Mordecai gets sent to a 7-day timeout for violating rules. Carl chooses a prize, picking a unique cookbook titled The Dungeon Anarchist's Cookbook, leading to disappointment when Chaco disappears and the music stops. In Chapter 8, Carl discovers a magical guidebook about chaos that is passed between crawlers. It grants them access to secret potions and recipes, but warns that its knowledge must remain undisclosed to avoid erasure. As they reflect on the loss of their friend Mordecai, they watch a recap episode showcasing intense battles. The team discusses forming alliances for survival and plans a night out to socialize. They meet Elle, now a Frost Maiden,